Hey friend, and welcome back to the Be Your Best Show. It's Jess here, and I'm so excited that you've joined me today for an episode on money mindset. I am filming in, I feel like I'm shouting, but I'm fired up, okay? I'm in the studio. Like I said in the last episode, I'm standing up today, and I feel like I need to if you're watching on YouTube, fix this setup. Because like the background's really fire when I'm sitting, but when I'm standing, it looks a little odd. But I do like the standing. I feel like I get more into it. So here we go. Money mindset for beginners. What does that even mean? The first time I heard of money mindset was probably not even a year ago, maybe. And I had heard before, like maybe a year ago, about like mindset and abundance versus a scarcity mindset. And I actually made a video for my Shine instructors earlier this week all about mindset as an instructor, and I came up with this list. Let me literally find it for you. I did this yesterday, of these dualities, okay? Because if you've heard of like abundance versus scarcity mindset, if you view the world as like there is a unlimited supply of all the good things in the world, and you know it's that place of like we rise by lifting others, and like everybody can succeed and everybody can have health and wealth, and you having it doesn't take away from somebody else. That's abundance. Scarcity is thinking that, you know, there's a finite amount of resources, and you know those people get to be like happy, or those people get to make a lot of money, but like that's not available for me. And the things that you do have, it's like there's a scarce, like in terms of amount of like success you can have, right? So this abundance versus scarcity mindset. And in my line of work as an entrepreneur, it's really important. If you have a scarcity mindset and you're going out and seeing like all these competitors and like they're stealing customers away from you and like etc., very like scarce and like competitive mindset, that actually does you all a disservice. If you go with an abundance mindset and thinking like, oh, there's no limit on the number of people that I can help, and because that business is succeeding, it proves that I can do it too, not they're my competition. Like we're community, we're working together, right? And so I actually broke down this list: abundance versus scarcity, value versus cost, opportunity versus obstacle, growth versus fixed, and then cents versus dollars. Just my like little plan where it's like SENSE. It's a way of looking at the world, this abundance versus scarcity mindset. And you know, do you view things in terms of like you're going to the store and you're buying you're buying your Starbucks. Are you looking at the cost? This is $3.10. Or are you like, the value I'm getting by like this amazing service and this experience and the convenience and etc., it's adding value to my life. And a lot of us don't, like, you maybe have grown up, a lot of us grow up with a scarcity mindset. That's like how a majority of society operates. So if you've never heard of this, like, don't be alarmed. I didn't hear of this until a year ago, and it like changed my life, right? But like in school, for example, there's like a bell curve is like a perfect example of scarcity, saying like only so many students can get 100, or only so many students can get in the 90s or the 80s or an A or whatever. And I don't know if you ever had like teachers like this where they're like, oh, well, you know, this is like a bell curve and this is how it works, and like only so many students like this can do this well, like there's averages and blah, blah, blah. Or if you had a teacher that was like, you know, I had teachers growing up and you just like, one teacher goes, you all start at 0 and you have to prove yourself and work your way up. And another teacher, like I remember one of my favorite teachers in high school, math teacher, she says, look, everybody in this room, you are all starting at 100 right now. And I want to keep as many of you as possible at 100. If I could give 100% to every single student in my class, amazing. There is no limit on the number of you that can learn this material. It's up to you if you want to keep your 100 or not. That to me was like, oh my God, that's so inspiring. That's so motivating, right? Like, yeah, we're all starting here at full. And she's like, if all of you get 100, that's not like I'm gonna make my test harder to bring you down. That's like, you all did awesome, right? And so it's the same thing here, how you perceive the world. Do you look at, you know, let's say I'm waiting on the TTC platform, I missed the subway. Am I like, this is a huge obstacle, I'm running late, like I get emotional, I get frustrated, I react to the situation? Or I can say, look, you know what? This is an opportunity. I'm gonna take an extra, I'm not running late, I can take an extra 2 minutes to just breathe and like people watch. Do you view it as an obstacle or an opportunity? Scarcity versus abundance. Same thing with fixed and growth mindsets. Like, do you view things as like, well, I was born with these skills and talents and that's how I am and this is what I'm going to do. Or you're like, I can learn new things, I can continue growing, and so forth. And so why I bring this up and I give you this preface on abundance versus scarcity is this leads into a huge part of this is money mindset, because money is like, it's the currency of our world. It's how it's whether you like it or not. And for some people, hearing like talking about money, that brings up emotions, right? Like that makes you uncomfortable or feel icky, or you have these perceptions about money. This is a fact. Everybody has perceptions about money. It just is. And a lot of times you inherit the perceptions about money from the people around you, your family, your parents, teachers, friends, how they think about money. You probably think about it in a specific way. And to really grasp this like abundance versus scarcity mindset, which is quite broad, and like in business, I can have an abundance or a scarcity mindset, but in life, like money is part of your life, whether you like it or not. Like if you want to buy groceries, to buy experiences, to like pay rent, to like pay your mortgage, like whatever it is, money's part of the equation. And when I started studying money mindset, they talk about money as energy, like it's just flowing back and forth. But when you add stories and emotions and all these things on top of it, it creates an experience around how you treat money. And if you want to improve your mindset of abundance and believing there's more for everyone, like let's look at money, because that's a very tangible way you can see where you're going with this. So it's this scarcity versus abundance. When you go to, again, buy this coffee, is it like, I feel like I have a very fixed amount of money in the bank and like once it's gone, it's gone? That's a scarcity mindset. And like that's a mindset I grew up with because both my parents had fixed salaries. So there actually genuinely is like a scarce amount. And we focused on saving, like cost reduction, right? Because there's only X amount of money to go around. So everything, it's like, well, if I get this, I can't have that. And you're making trade-offs and sacrifices because money is a scarce resource. If you view money and and time and time again, you think about like stories you heard about money or thoughts or sayings growing up. Did you grow up hearing like money doesn't grow on trees? Money's not a renewable resource. Money's really hard to make. Making lots of money requires sacrifice. Rich people are greedy. You shouldn't earn, so-and-so shouldn't earn more, or they should make more money, right? Like these kind of judgments or opinions or thoughts or perceptions about money, those can actually change. And I've had to significantly shift my perceptions on money since becoming an entrepreneur and looking at it from not a scarcity mindset of there is X amount of money and I need to reduce my costs as much as possible. It's actually forced me to realize, like, as an entrepreneur, money is literally a renewable resource. You create something of value and you trade it for money, which means you can make more money, which means looking at money as a finite fixed resource is actually holding you back. And again, like if you're thinking, oh my God, that's so icky, that's so gross to like want to make a lot of money, of course that's gonna hold you back. That held me back for so long because I had these judgments and perceptions and like stories about money and how much money was a right to make or wrong to make or good or bad. But when I stopped seeing money as a good or bad thing and just seeing it as energy, then I realized more money, that just means I have created something so valuable that I am impacting other people's lives and they are willing to trade this source of energy because they are actually getting more in return than those dollars are worth, right? So it becomes this beautiful exchange of energy. And I mean, again, if you are stuck in a scarcity mindset, this is probably gonna trigger you. And this is probably gonna be hard to digest and you might walk away from this episode going, what a load of bullshit. That's okay. That's okay. I'm not asking you to agree with me. I just am asking you to listen, to consider an alternative perspective and how I want this to play into your life. If you believe, and for me now, it's like I need to actually make money be a renewable and abundant resource, because the more money that I have, the more I can go out and impact more people, right? Like that's a very good thing. Wanting to make money is not bad. Wanting to make a lot of money probably means you want to impact a lot of people. And just like anything else, like money can be used for good or for evil. And there's a lot of people in the world who maybe don't use it for good things, who are greedy, who are selfish. But a quote I heard is, money doesn't make you good or bad. It makes you more of who you already are. Money amplifies you. So if naturally you're living in this scarcity mindset and you feel like greedy or selfish and you're hoarding money, the more money you have, the more greedy it's going to make you. But if you're a very generous and giving person, the more money you have, the more generous you're able to be, right? So it's going to amplify your character as a person. And, you know, you can be generous when you're broke or generous when you're wealthy. But when you're wealthy, you got to be extra generous. So stop viewing it. If you're like, oh, I feel, yes, like I'm scared to admit that I actually want to make money. We have to let that money story go, because when you live in abundance, when you have more, other people have more too. You hear that? When you have more, other people have more too. So if you view money as abundant and you're willing to let it go, it will usually come back to you in spades. When you go to buy your coffee in the morning, you can stand at the cash register or on your app, you know, and be all stressed and anxious and worried about spending. And coffee's not probably the best example, you know, but it actually is, because it's something I buy every day. I can be all stressed and anxious and worried about, you know, nickel and diming this coffee and how much it's going to cost and adding up the cents. And this comes to dollars versus cents. S-E-N-S-E, dollars versus cents. If you're so focused on the dollars, like it's the kind of the saying of like saving, what is it? I lost it. You're saving $1, no. There it is. Spending $1 to save a penny. Are you spending $1 to save a penny? Now, we don't really use pennies anymore, but like, let's say if you spend $20 to save $2, that doesn't make sense. S-E-N-S-E. That is not sound thinking, right? Like this is and sorry, mom, if you're listening to this, my mom loves, like she's convinced that driving across the city to save 2 cents on gas, a liter, is saving a lot of money. And I say this all the time, and like she's like, well, this is how she's always done it. So I'm like, not trying to change her ways, right? But how much are you actually spending in gas to drive clear across the city to save the 2 cents on gas? So if you're looking at that scarcity mindset and you're trying to save and constrict and hold on to the money you have, look at how much opportunity cost there is if you actually spent an extra $2, literally like count the cost of like saving 2 cents a liter on gas. Like for my car, that means I save about $3 when I when I tank my car. What is that opportunity cost of $3 for half an hour extra of my life? And this is an extreme example, okay? I know if it's right across the street, pick the cheaper one, okay? Like that's great. But when we look at opportunity cost, what is your time worth? Because time is a finite resource. You only have so much of it. It renews every day, but at the end of your life, it doesn't renew, right? So when you look at, and this is whether you're an entrepreneur or not, anybody, what is your time worth? Because if you're so focused on the scarcity and the saving money and the constricting, you know, your time, that is how you have time for your health and your happiness and your relationships and your family. So if you are spending all this time to save a few dollars, does it actually make sense? Does it actually make sense? I want you to start valuing your time, because when you value your time, you value your energy, right? When you value your time, you value your energy. And that's the same thing as spending 30 minutes on a workout. I've said this so many times, working out makes you more productive. You spend 30 minutes a day, the other 23 and a half, you're gonna be so much more energized, so much more focused, so much more mentally clear, so much better emotional regulation. You're not gonna freak out at things the same way you would when you're all stressed and crabby, and right? Because you get those happiness hormones. So it's not wasting 30 minutes. It's not spending 30 minutes. It's like, think of it like you're investing those 30 minutes because it's gonna make the rest of your day better. What is your time worth? Are you spending it in ways that make sense for you? I hope the answer is yes. And so, if you feel like money is controlling your life, and I've been there, I know exactly what that feels like. When I worked a minimum wage job, there was a scarce amount of money coming in, okay? And I had to pay for things, right? Like, there was a genuine sense of scarcity. But that also meant it took away from my enjoyment, because if I was traveling somewhere, I would try to, take the public transit, which was going to take double the amount of time. If I had 3 days in the city, I would take this public transit, which was like not the greatest experience, instead of the $10 taxi or Uber. But like, how much of seeing the city was I missing out on that extra time? And it's a time versus like money question. It's a value question. And like, hopefully as you go through life, you have more and more money to be able to buy back your time and buy things that you value and have time for your health and your happiness and your wellness. I hope you have that. I really, really do. And again, I have to constantly remind myself, like, what if somebody disagrees? And I'm like, no, probably the things that I'm saying, they're gonna find the right people. They're good. If this is right for you, it will resonate, and it won't resonate with everyone, and that's okay. But if you grew up in a situation where money was a scarce resource, money was finite, instead of constricting, I want you to start seeing the world in a more abundant way. Instead of driving half an hour across the city to save $3, could you make more than $3 in that half an hour, right? Expand your world, expand the amount of money you can make instead of focusing on that constriction, because then you're not living from a place of anxiety and fear and scarcity and competition. You're living from a place of generosity and love and happiness and abundance. Okay, so that is on money mindset and mindset, really in general. I hope if you've never heard of money mindset, go read books on money mindset. There's a book called Rich as Fuck, but like with an asterisk, that's the one that really changed the game for me. And right now I'm actually reading How to Be a Badass at Making Money by Jess and Sarah. Both really, really good. Read up on this. Allow yourself, and Rich Dad Poor Dad, classic personal finance book. You have to read that one. Allow yourself to see a new perspective. And if this episode triggered you, ask yourself why. Thank you so much for listening. I will leave it there for today. If you liked it, send me a DM, let me know, and I can't wait to see you next time.